Ladies and gentlemen, yes, welcome into my college football conference championship best bets. And guys, it's such an amazing season. It's been so inspiring. Excuse me, I'm getting a little emotional here to see everyone and really do this and do these bets. And guys, this is the full enchilada on all of the best bets. I'm going to give you, I think every single game there's a bet in here. So there's 11 total bets for 11 games. What is my favorite bet for each game? And then there's a funny little money line parlay at the end. So this is 11 total bets. I'm doing one for each game. And then we're doing our money line parlay. This is just what I'm feeling, the current vibe. We know, guys, I have, all the analytics, all the data. It is all high tech. It's all super powerful. And we start with Buffalo minus the 13 versus Akron. So, guys, this is the makeup game, of course. Buffalo is a significantly better team than Akron. Would I actually bet this, guys? I don't think I would. There's really not a reason to perjure ourselves with a game like this where it is going to be, a question on if Buffalo will actually show up and play and be motivated, because this is a makeup game on a random Friday afternoon. But if we're just looking at it, I understand Akron had the shocking win last week against Northern Illinois. They're still a bad team. I think they come back down to earth. Buffalo's been good all year. I would think Buffalo would cover. Next, we have an actual conference championship. I've got UTSA minus the 8 versus North Texas. So North Texas really disappointed me last week against Rice. I thought they were a lock to cover the 14-point spread, and they laid an offensive egg. I am expecting a higher scoring game here, but UTSA right now at 10-2. They might be a top 25 team in the country at this point, so I think UTSA wins this game and covers the 8-point spread. It's going to be a higher scoring game. You could see something like 42-30 or something along those lines. Utah plus the 3 versus USC. So these games all neutral site. Obviously all the conference championship games, and Utah, I think they're starting to become good value. I think they opened plus 1.5. It's really not surprising this line has gotten bet up to 3. The general public is thinking that USC is going to have crazy motivation. There's no way Utah can beat USC 2 times in the span of like 2 months or like 1.5 months. So it is totally understandable why the general public is betting this line up. I almost wonder if we could wait and possibly get Utah plus 3.5. These teams are very evenly matched. USC's offense is slightly better than Utah's, but in my opinion, Utah's defense is significantly better than USC's. And while there is a lot of motivation for USC making the playoff if they win, I think Utah, they don't want to throw this season away. There are so many people, including myself, in the preseason that predicted Utah to make the playoffs, and their season was down the drain after their week 1 loss to Florida. They were kind of thrown away. So I think Utah is coming back with a vengeance. They're the forgotten about team of 2022, and they're starting to become better value again. I think the public is going to be heavy on USC because they know USC wins, they're in. Also, beating the same team twice is very hard. So you might be able to get Utah plus 4, plus 3.5. I think that would be, really, really good, because that offers you the scenario where USC wins on a walk-off field goal and you're still covering. So we will see what happens with that line, but we've seen major price action in USC's favor. Again, that line opened Utah plus 1.5, and ESPN FPI actually has Utah favored by about 2 points. The next one is the noon game on Saturday, the Big 12 Championship. It's TCU versus Kansas State. We like the over in this game, guys. These two offenses have been really, really good recently, especially Kansas State's. TCU has a knack for playing higher scoring games. This game happening in a dome, there's going to be no weather concerns at all. If I had to make a prediction, I would say TCU minus the 2.5. I do think they pull this game out, but I also have to respect the way Kansas State has played recently, so that gives me some trepidation on taking TCU minus the 2.5. That's why I'll just say, you know what, I'll cut my losses and I'll take the over because I like both of these teams getting into the 30s in the Dome, with TCU dropping a 60-burger last week, with Kansas State trouncing Kansas. Both good offenses, both good quarterbacks, both going to be scoring a lot. They tend to play a lot of high-scoring games. Both of them are humming. Let's not overthink this. Let's take the over 61.5. I think there's good value, and my guess is this is going to get bet up to 63 personally. Ohio +2 versus Toledo. It's been unfortunate what's happened to Toledo. Certainly, they've completely kind of thrown their season away, and now they're 7-5. Toledo was a team earlier when they had 2 losses. I thought maybe they had an outside shot at running the table, but they've been so bad recently. And this is just a situation where I just refuse to bet on Toledo based on how they've played. Ohio has a quarterback injury, but even their backup quarterback played really well last week. I think on Tuesday night they ended up covering the spread by like 25 points. So Ohio, they're trending in the right direction. Toledo trending in the wrong direction. The general public is heavily on Ohio in this game. I think it opened -4.5 for Toledo, and it's already gotten bet down. So maybe we should have some trepidation, because normally when everyone zigs, you should zag and say, you know what, Toledo, this is the week they come back and they show that they're good. And I don't know, guys. It feels like with Toledo, it's been like 4 straight weeks they have severely underperformed. I mean, I'm not even kidding you. It's been bad with Toledo. So it's like at some point, I can't keep doing it with them. That's why I'd say Ohio +2, and Ohio University probably to win that game outright and win the MAC. Coastal Carolina versus Troy, the under 48. So I've got this final score at around 24-10, maybe 27-10. The reason I find the under so valuable, especially when it's like a number like 48, I just think that Coastal Carolina, without their quarterback, Grayson McCall, against the Troy defense that is borderline elite. I mean, they are good. I don't see Coastal Carolina generating more than 17 points if they're lucky. Again, I've got them at 10 points. Maybe they get to 17. And it's not like Troy is this juggernaut who's going to drop a 40-burger, in my opinion. So, lower scoring game. We saw Coastal Carolina without Grayson McCall score 7 points against James Madison. Troy even has a better defense than that. So I think Troy really grinds this conference championship win out, and they end up winning the game, and it's a lower scoring game, 24-10, 27-10, 27-13. One of those range of outcomes. If you're talking about an under 48, all of those are acceptable. Even something like 30-14 would be more than acceptable for the under 48 to hit. This line has actually gotten bet up a little bit from around 46.5. It's at 48. I would be really surprised if it got bet up much more than this. Either way, I do like, Troy. I also like Troy -10, but that line has gotten bet up severely as well. It opened -8, and it's not surprising the general public jumping on Troy after Coastal Carolina's performance last week without Grayson McCall. LSU at Georgia, we're going to say the under 51. I really don't like this spread. I think it's Georgia -17. I just question how motivated Georgia will be in the second half of this game. If they're leading by 20 or 17 or something like that, could LSU get a late touchdown and cover? To me, this is a very boring SEC championship. Reminds me of the SEC championships that Missouri was in. Nothing against Missouri, but it's just like, it's pretty much meaningless. Georgia's going to win it. This is really just a career accolade type thing for Kirby Smart. LSU, they can say, hey, we went to an SEC championship out of the West. That's a really good thing for Brian Kelly in his first season. But I think it's fairly certain Georgia at this point is just a well-oiled machine. LSU is severely flawed. We saw that in their loss to Texas A&M. I'll pass on taking Georgia -17. I mean, they could crush LSU, but I just feel like the under. This game could be close and lower scoring, like maybe something like 13-7 at half or 13-10, and then Georgia just slowly, methodically pulls away, in my opinion, in the second half. So I do like the under 51 in this game, even with it being in a dome. UCF at Tulane will take the over 56. It just feels like a higher scoring game. The American Championship, UCF, they know how to score. They have a very efficient offense. Tulane, recently, they've been pretty good on defense, but it's not like Tulane is this super team when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. Both of these teams can be scored on, and I think we could be looking at a fun American little conference championship game with Tulane winning. Interesting, a lot of money being put on Tulane. They are now -3.5 the last time I checked, so the line is moving in favor of Tulane. I like the over personally in this one, the over 56. Number 9, I love Fresno State. I think they win this game outright against Boise State. I also love the over in this game. Going to be a higher scoring game. I have Fresno State winning right around like 33-26, maybe 32-26, something like that. But Fresno State, if they didn't have that quarterback injury, I really think this team is a potential New Year's Six team. That's how good this Fresno State team could have been. Boise State's been really good. They've been covering spreads like crazy. I understand they've got that continuity. They're good every year. But there's something about this Fresno State team. They're another level with a healthy quarterback. And again, I think Fresno State could be a top 15, top 20 team if they did not have that injury. So I'll take Fresno State with the value plus the 3.5. Purdue plus 16 versus Michigan. I don't love this one, but I do think Purdue possibly gets a late touchdown to cover. This game is going to be very similar to the LSU-Georgia game. It's kind of like a career accolade for Jim Harbaugh for Michigan, winning the Big Ten twice. I know there's the whole thing with Purdue spoiling team seasons, but it feels completely different with this game being neutral site, and Purdue really can't spoil Michigan's season. Michigan is making the playoff even if they lose this game. So to me, this is totally independent of Purdue being the Spoilermakers or spoiling a season. There's no season to spoil. Even if Purdue wins, it doesn't matter. Michigan still goes to the playoffs. Purdue, of course, if they somehow win, it's crazy because they go to the Rose Bowl, and that would be so cool to see for their program. I just don't see it happening. I think Blake Corum rests in this game. They roll with Donovan Edwards, J.J. McCarthy. They found something in the passing game. Purdue, I think, decent value. Michigan getting kind of cooked up a little bit on the overall points because they just beat Ohio State by 20. So I'll take the value with Purdue plus the 16 and maybe a backdoor cover on that one. Moving on to the final game, North Carolina plus the 7.5 versus Clemson. So to me, 7.5 is a tough ask for Clemson to cover based on how they've been playing, both on offense and defense. This is a team that really struggles to throw the football. I really like DJ Uiagalelei, and I really hope he transfers to Ohio State. He has so much untapped potential, but right now with Clemson, it's just not happening. You know, he was 9-28 last week. The defense against South Carolina, Spencer Rattler throwing for like 400 yards. It just hasn't worked out for Clemson. I think they win this game, but I do think North Carolina and Drake May, they're able to have an offensive eruption. They're able to play well, and it's a back-and-forth, very close game. 7.5, in my opinion, is just simply too much. And then my money line parlay would be over USC, UTSA over North Texas, TCU over Kansas State, and then Tulane over UCF. That's just a little fun money line parlay because there is only 11 bets that I am doing because there's only 11 games happening this week. I believe that is the number. So guys, those are my overall best bets for College Football Conference Championship Week 2022. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.